this video we want to build a XY table for an idea for a cool 3D printer that we have. So we just got a few parts together here from the OpenBuilds parts store, and we're going to go ahead and try to put this together. So first off, we'll go over a couple of the parts that we have on the table here. We have some aluminum T-slot extrusion with open rail mounted to it. This is hard coat open rail, but it doesn't necessarily need to be because we're using the Delrin wheels. 80mm plate as well as a build plate. I've already mounted some of the components like the wheels and whatnot to the plates and to some of the 3D printed parts so we can see what's going on. Got a couple of the tools here to help speed things up. These are the motor mounting plates as well as the idler pulley plates, and you could do something like this. I made a couple basic ones here that could mount just like this, and you know, that would work just as well. They just look nice. So the idea is to create two linear actuators, one on the x-axis and one on the y-axis. And you'll notice here that we have a 40 by 80mm extrusion and a 20 by 80mm extrusion. So this is just what I had. Didn't necessarily need this. Also, after I mount it, I actually mounted the open rail to the extrusion first, and then I held this in the chop saw and just chopped it real slow and made sure I had lubrication on the blade, and that worked out really well. The idea is that we're going to have, like I said, X and Y axis like this. So this plate here, move these out of the way, this plate here needs a plate mounted to it. So this is our 80mm plate that we're going to use. As you can see, I've got my eccentric bushings on this side and the standard bushings on this side. And what we need to do is, I've marked the center here, and I've already had this mounted, so I actually marked where the plate would go. Let me see something here. So we know we want the other rail going the opposite way of this one, so you have to make sure you pay attention to that. And I have my center hole here, and I'm just looking for which holes are going to be the ones that line up. I can see it's this one, this one, this one, and this one. So what we're going to do here is we're going to put the screws in like this from the back side. I could have probably just set them in there. That would be too easy. And then I'll put the T-nuts on the bottom. Make sure when you put the T-nuts on, the flange side faces away from the screw. And you just do one or two spins. Just something to get it to hold. Okay, so we have the T-nuts mounted to the bottom. Just going to line that up a little bit.
Did you do it on the other side?
Okay, so now we're just going to align with this center. And you can take a T-square at that point. Make sure that you're square. Just snug those in place. I can go back and kind of give them a little bit of a wrench. Okay, that thing's on there good. Okay, so that's step one. So at this point, let's go ahead and we'll just slide this on here. And we're going to need to adjust our eccentric bushings, of course. Okay, take our wrench, turn this a little bit at a time. And what I like to do is kind of push up here and see if you get any movement. Like this side I haven't tightened down, so this side I did. So there it is. 'Cause you don't want it to be tight, you just want it to be locked on. So that's good. Now a lot of times I like to take some Teflon spray and paper towel and wipe down the rails. Just give it a little smooth area to ride on. That looks good. At this point we can take our table and put this on. Our build plate. That one's good already. So there we have X and Y movement. Alright. I already put the T-nuts on here, so tighten them down a little bit. These are 3D printed parts, so definitely don't want to over tighten them. You can see this is just one of our smooth idler pulleys. I could probably add more bracing in there, but it'll be fine. Now this is one way to do it. There's probably a million ways you could do this, but I probably could have printed these so that they hold onto the center too, kind of like this would be if you were to print this plastic like that, so it holds onto the center and not the sides, and it would allow for this plate to go a little bit further. But I actually like the fact that the wheel stops it before it gets to the pulley. So if I had to, I could have made both of these a little bit longer. Oh, but either way, it doesn't matter. It'll work. It'll serve its purpose. So let's go ahead and put this one on. These are our motor plates. So the motors would mount underneath. This is belt driven. The idea is that the belt would go underneath here. And that's pretty much it. That's the XY table. I'm not going to get into the mounting of the stepper motors or anything, but you get the idea. And it works really, really well. I hope that helps out to give it a little bit of an overview of how to build an XY table using the open rail linear system. Thanks. Another example of an XY system here, gantry system, using different size extrusions and different open rail plates. So this could be used as a gantry in a pick and place. And this whole assembly and system could be scaled down using the 20 by 20 millimeter with the 20 millimeter plate and doubling up the open rail so you get the double arrows.